It is Pardon the Punctuation, and I don't ever produce this show, so I'm winging it. But Ed's apparently here. Made it just in time.
I made it.
All right, I'm out. See you guys later.
Yeah, thanks for responding to my text message. But this is Pardon the Punctuation, and I am Aaron Smith, joined by Ed Mayhall. Jeff's car is broken down. Ed was putting kids to bed for his sick wife, who normally takes
lunches and all that good stuff.
Who normally takes care of those things. Well done, sir. And Chad's stepping in until Jeff gets here, I guess, as we are not going to talk Bearcats with Chad because we've done that every day for the last 2 years together.
Right.
But here in this space right now, we're going to talk Bengals Browns. Not quite yet. We're not going to get there quite yet. But first off, just how's your week been, Ed?
Quick trip out to Indiana for a soccer tournament, like I told you 2 weeks ago. Had service, that was great.
Had receipts, well done.
And now I'm home. Yeah, I did. Wouldn't let that go by. How was your weekend with the headband and everything there?
I mean, it was a lot of losing of football.
My question is, what's with the headband?
I just wanted to wear that instead of a backwards hat.
Is this because of the Halloween costume that I created?
Yeah.
No, it was not because of that. It's because my hair is getting long enough to actually do something in the headband. But
I tell Jason Kelsey that if he comes on the show, that he has to wear a backwards hat, and you switch it up with a headband now. Thank you, sir.
Well. In any case, I went to Orlando and was in the bounce house. Being up in the press box is literally insane. You feel the whole thing swaying, and it's moderately terrifying. Like, I made a joke to my cousin. I was like, I had no idea that I need to take Dramamine to go sit in the press box.
No idea that this place was that structurally unsound.
And they were telling me that after the first year of the bounce house, like my cousin and his old roommate, they both went to school at UCF and they were both at the game. But they said after the first year, the bounce house bounced so much that they had to set up places around the stadium to have cameras because the cameras would shake with the stadium.
Because you wouldn't be able to get any
shots.
Video.
B, you would just walk around, and it's actually really nice underneath the stadium, but you would walk around and just find screws from the structure.
That's disconcerting.
That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. And
MIC, see you real soon. KEY. Why? Because we're going to try to kill you in the stadium. MOUSE.
But it was definitely an experience. I didn't mind. I mean, I thought the stadium was actually pretty nice, all considering. The fact that it hasn't broken apart like a Connect set. But yeah,
I just understand how structurally the engineers in that state are just like, you guys can't play.
And it's known for being an engineering school. My cousin has an engineering degree from there.
He's related to you.
I question your cousin's.
No, he's the smart one in the family. We all got compared to him.
That's a low bar.
It's kind of a low bar.
Just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like
I hope he ends up listening to this and knows that I was definitely poking fun at him. Had a great time down there, Jeff. But in any case, let's talk about this Bengals Browns game. Ed, you got to watch way more than Chad and I did as we were recording a podcast.
Can I start off with a story?
Yeah, sure.
So, as I've talked about before, my neighbors, and the reason that we're in this house that we're in, he's a childhood friend of mine, and his wife is a Browns fan. So last night we were hanging out together in my driveway, passing out Halloween candy. to all the kids. And his wife is from Cleveland. She's delightful. And she's a Browns fan. And going into last night, Browns fans were pretty down. They were terrible going into that game. And she's kind of like Eeyore, we're just lining up to take our whipping from the Bengals that have started to play really well. And, this is probably going to go poorly for the Browns. And I said, let me tell you something. Did you watch what happened to this Bengals offense when T. Higgins was hurt? Because they fell apart. And that was with Jamar Chase. With Jamar Chase. Take out one ingredient. It's almost like, they talk about baking is like perfection. You have to put exactly 1/4 cup of this and 1 teaspoon of that and 1, tablespoon of this. And if you don't get it right, your dessert is going to suck.
Fall apart. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to fall apart. That's the Bengals. Because this offense, if it's not the most talented offense in the NFL, it's a disaster. There's no in between. When they have all the pieces, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, Hayden Hurst has been very good. Joe Mixon in games where they have all of the other weapons, they are as explosive as any offense you'll ever see.
I.e. last week.
But if you take one ingredient out,
the souffle collapses.
It's the worst shit you ever ate.
You don't want Gordon Ramsay trying that dessert.
It goes back to, unfortunately, what we all know. Zach is not Andy Reid. Andy Reid, they took out Tyreek Hill, and guess what? They once again have, if it's not the most dynamic offense in the NFL, it's absolutely at the top of the list.
Even with Doo-Doo Smith-Schuster.
Doo-Doo Smith.
I mean, he's been great for them because he's playing for Andy Reid. Did you imagine?
He had one good game. He hasn't been great.
But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Chiefs haven't missed a beat without Tyreek Hill.
I think Kadarius Toney's probably a more important addition, but
good for you. You're arguing semantics.
Sure.
To distract from my point.
I guess the other thing is we know how many holes this team has. We know that they're not deep in many places right now on this roster. And today was the trade deadline. And the Bengals remained stagnant.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem there is there really was only one area you needed probably to make a trade.
Corner.
And that wasn't an area you needed to make a trade until 9:00 this morning. It's really hard. The teams that have been making trades have known, okay, this is an area of weakness. We need to make something happen. The Bengals didn't know corner was an area of weakness. Awuzie was the number 2 or 3 corner in the NFL.
Yeah.
So they weren't necessarily
tremendous.
They weren't necessarily in a mode where for the last 5 or 6 days they've been working with other teams on.
No, but today you had the opportunity, and
I know, but what I'm saying is that's hard. It's easy for us to say
to pull it off in a day. Sure.
Yeah, it's easy for us to play Madden and go push 3 buttons and a trade is made.
Yeah,
that's not how that really works because you're gonna have to deal with cash considerations and salary cap and long-term impact on. And for a team that understands they have to pay Burrow, Higgins, Chase,
Bates if they decide.
Well, they're not paying Bates.
I don't think so either.
But you are going to have to pay probably Von Bell. Clay,
I think
what
you
are you
have
talking about?
I don't know. I thought your mic actually sounded good. So
anyhow, yeah, Awuzie is out for the year. That's my whole point. We didn't know that until this morning, this afternoon, early afternoon.
I'm sure they knew last night.
They knew last night, yeah. But like making a trade happen isn't as like it's not as easy as like just going into Madden and going into like the trade simulator.
Well, and here's a question for you because it's only week 9? No, going into week 9. It's week 8.
Yeah. Week 8 ended. We're going into week 9
because they added a 17th game. We're not even halfway through the season. This Wednesday would be halfway through the season, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think that the trade deadline needs to be pushed out a little further? And I only say this because there's so many teams that are still in contention without wanting to throw in the. I mean, if you look at the Colts division, the first place in the Colts division is 3-5.
Yeah, but I mean, you're in the Ravens division, right?
Well, look, and again, I strongly believe that they should have figured out a move somewhere, some way, somehow today.
Yeah, but
just to show that you're still in the mix. Like I don't know that this team is built to withstand the long haul, and you're in a window, especially under Joe's contract year.
That's like you trying to prove you have great hair by putting that.
I don't think those two are anything alike. But I think you just wanted to mention it again. That's fine.
Isn't it fair to say that Jonah Williams hasn't been all that great this whole year?
He is playing with a dislocated patella.
I did not know that.
He dislocated his knee like 2 or 3 weeks ago. God knows where that kneecap is in his leg right now. Anyway, I don't know.
It's not echoing for anybody else, so it might be a you problem. Am I echoing for you guys?
It just sounds like you're maybe in a bathroom. It's because you don't have anything in that room to.
Yeah, it's because that room is empty.
You don't have anything that absorbs the sound in that room. It's fine. We do a podcast with this same mic setup every single week.
Is that better? Am I better now?
It's
better, yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
It is what it is.
But you're.
I did not know he had a misplaced patella. That is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's on me.
They have signs for it around town.
Do they?
For his misplaced patella.
I missed the billboard.
Just in case anybody finds it.
Have you seen me?
I think that's the name of this episode.
Displaced,
Jonah Williams patella.
Like misplaced, I don't think is the term there.
It's gone. Yeah. But I don't know. I guess
Mount Adams. You're just walking through Mount Adams, and there's signs for Jonah Williams misplaced patella. It's walking down the street by itself.
I know they're playing
Jonah Williams.
I know they're playing for the long haul, but I feel like when you're in Joe Burrow's rookie contract window, you have to do everything that you can to try and get there.
But like, what I'm saying is, like, if the corner thing happened a week early, like. It literally the trade shouldn't the trade deadline for consideration of the teams to play on Monday night shouldn't it be Wednesday of this week? Like,
yeah,
like to have it happen Tuesday, you're putting a team that the Bengals went through hell. They played like shit. They got dominated, and the roster got wrecked.
I mean. That's the same argument that I would have as far as hiring a coach at the end of the season. I don't think you should be able to hire a coach until after the Super Bowl in the NFL. Like everyone should have to wait. You shouldn't be able to start that process before the teams.
Yeah, but they're going to cheat. Like teams are going to cheat, and then the day that it's allowed, then everybody will have their coach hired.
Cool. You still wouldn't have to worry about all of the rest of their staff being put together and everything else. You could. I don't know. I think.
Yes, you would.
Well,
that would still happen.
I still wouldn't know about it, and I'd sleep better.
And it's all about you, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. It just seems that this is particularly early, especially this season with everybody. Like the NFL goes for parity. As much as they go for parity, there's so many teams that are on that teeter-totter between are we throwing in the towel or are we still playing to try and win? I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers made moves to try and I guess the Chicago Bears.
They sold one of their best wide receivers and brought in William Jackson III, who sucks.
Oh, George Washington III committed today, by the way.
To who? Dayton?
Michigan. Thought that
He's
was
not
funny.
very good.
Just saying.
I watched him a bunch this summer. He's not very good.
But I thought that I guess the Chicago Bears are maybe a better example of that because I don't think the Chicago Bears are good at all. They trade away Roquan Smith. They trade for using the pick that they got for Roquan Smith, that second round pick. But I don't know if they gave away their own. I believe they gave away their own and not the pick that they got from the Ravens,
right?
Which is going to be later in the round.
Yeah.
But they traded away the second round pick to get Chase Claypool, which doesn't make sense because you don't have a quarterback that I think is very good.
Can we do this?
This?
Yeah.
Go ahead and produce that.
They didn't move on from Marvin Lewis.
Well,
they didn't. Yeah,
for the people in the audio format only. If the Bengals miss a play, here's a question from one of the guys in the chat. If the Bengals miss the playoffs, does that provide an opening to move on from Taylor, and would the Bengals even consider it? You have to find an offensive coordinator who demands to have the offensive play calling. Period. End dot. Stop it with Zach Taylor. He's a great coach. I am not trying to take anything away from him being a head coach because I think he's built an incredible locker room. And I think that right now his roster's actually looking pretty good. The draft picks that he has made, I don't think they've been bad.
Well, I think that's the reason why this is like such a hard thing to eat is because we do have a great team and we should be doing better than we're doing right now.
Ed, your microphone's doing crazy things because half the time you're talking like away.
Sorry, is that better?
Much better.
All right. Sorry. I think that's one of the things that's hard to eat right now is we have the players out there. This should be a good game for us. It should be a good season for us. We picked up, offensive line during the off season and all that kind of stuff. And it just feels like the Reds, right? We're just kind of letting it go to waste.
I don't think one of these things is like the other at all.
Not anywhere close to the Reds, Ed. Nowhere close. I'm just telling you.
I don't know. The only way you can compare it to the Reds is if the Bengals went all in on Joe Burrow and then never put anything around him. I think the Green Bay Packers
done everything possible to build around Joe Burrow.
The Green Bay Packers are a closer comparison to the Reds than the Bengals, as they've given him
that's fair
nothing.
Too. Yeah, they've given
nothing.
Aaron Rodgers.
I think where I think it's okay to be a little bit concerned about the Bengals is that they are already in this mode of having to be cognizant of what it's going to take to keep Joe in town and surrounded with weapons. And what's interesting is the one trait that Zach hasn't carried over from his time, like with the Rams, the Rams don't give a shit. We will sell every draft pick we have. We will sell, it doesn't matter. If we can go get a star, if we can go get like a big time name, we don't care how many first round picks it takes. We don't care how much draft capital, how much equity. We're going to go out and get Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, Jared Goff. They don't.
The Rams were. There was a Brian Burns, I believe it is. They were offering 2 first-round picks to the Panthers for a defensive end.
I didn't know they had any first-round picks.
I didn't either, but how far out are we mortgaging these picks at this point? Are we talking about 27, 28?
The Rams are treating first-round picks like NCAA football schedules. You get a first in 2032 and a home game in 2035.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
And I'm okay. In football, especially, there are so few Sauce Gardners, for example.
Sure.
Where you draft them and they are immediately one of the
high
best
impact
players
right.
at their position in the league.
Right, exactly.
It just Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. There are so few of those guys. If I can go get one, go get him. Go get him.
And think about the last couple of rebuilds the Bengals have done. They've been really lucky in their quarterback and wide receiver one combinations that they've went out and got.
Yes.
When you look at
AJ Green
Dalton
and
and
Andy
Green.
Dalton.
AJ Green and Dalton, even Carson Palmer, Chad Johnson, and
Chris
the way
Henry.
that that's all worked out. But I don't know, man. I'd be okay with them mortgaging out the picks if it meant that they were in a win now with regards to Joe's rookie window. Because I worry that when they finally get this roster where they want it to be, we're already going to be in a spot to have to extend Joe, and the roster is going to be hamstrung by a $250 million guaranteed contract. If the price isn't higher at that point because of the TV rights deal coming up.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Because at that point you're looking at potentially 275, 300.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
that game last night, I had much bigger hopes for that game. I know
We
it was
all
a prime
did.
time game, and I actually was okay with that first turnover. I was in touchdown. I was kind of like, we'll get this one back. I'm not stressing about this. But then when they couldn't turn it around, and AJ or McPherson started missing field goals, I was like, well, this isn't good. This is not
that play at the end of the first half, like that series at the end of the first half, was disastrous.
Well,
like if you cut it from what it was to 8-3, you've at least given yourself some momentum, right?
Yeah.
It was a 6-point swing.
It was that little tip interception.
Well, no, it was the missed field goal, and then you let the other team go down and kick a field goal.
Right. Yeah.
That's 6 points right there, because it would have been 8-3 instead it's 11-0.
Yeah.
That's and you at least feel good going into halftime 8-3.
Yeah.
By comparison to 11-0. In a place where at this point I think it's safe to say that Joe struggles playing Cleveland.
Clay, I completely disagree. Do you think the Rams would have been better off with draft picks over Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald? Really? They don't care. Look, Clay, this is not baseball. This is the NFL, where you can fudge contracts so much, where you can.
Tom Brady did it for years up in New England, where he was getting money for his private company instead.
Look at what Travis Kelce just did. Travis Kelce talked about it last week on New Heights. They're going to pay me
cash
all
now?
my money today. All right, let's do this shit. No, Clay, I don't buy that at all, because that's a baseball. You're talking from a baseball perspective. In the NFL, I don't care about the salary cap, because the numbers can always be fudged. The numbers can always be worked out.
Hi, Jeff. Welcome to the show. Glad you made it.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi,
Missed
everybody.
How's your truck?
Not running right now. That's how my truck is. It's awful.
It is comparable, because you're comparing
Clay
draft
says
picks and value.
Clay says
Sinclair Link.
Different point in their team life cycle, not comparable. Bengals overachieving last year, inflated the goals for this year. They're still ahead of schedule.
I'm not arguing that they're still ahead of schedule. We're discussing trading draft picks for
win now
proven commodities.
Yeah. I mean, looking at what
you think the Bengals wouldn't be better with Roquan Smith?
Look at what the Dolphins have done. My God.
Right.
Adding Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill, and who's the third guy that all came from the Trey Lance picks? There was a third.
Yeah.
Steve.
They went out, they made a bold move that got them a bunch of draft picks, and then they sold all of those draft picks for proven NFL commodities.
Jalen Waddle might have been the third.
This is not like in baseball, draft picks take 5 years to get to the major leagues. In the NFL, your draft picks are expected to perform right away, or they move to the back of your roster, they get cycled out and they're gone. Like there have been trades for legit Pro Bowl quality NFL players that net like a 5th round draft pick. I just don't think it's the same, Clay. Like if you want to come on and argue, come on and argue. We'll argue until the cows come home. But this is the Jeff, Ed, and Aaron show, and I'm gonna bow out.
Knowing that you had Jamar Chase with a hairline fractured hip, you should have probably gone out and gotten a receiver because Michael Thomas is not good. Michael Thomas is not good.
Clay wants to fist fight. We'll fist fight. That's fine.
Come on, Clay. We don't have to settle everything with a fist fight.
Pay to watch that.
Not everything has to be settled with a fist fight.
My dogs fucked me up last night, Clay. My thumb is all like fucked up. Like, yeah.
Make sure that we stream that so we can monetize it.
Okay, yeah.
Bearcat Journal, rough and real.
Dog.
Put me in the lobby. I'm out. I'm good. You guys do your thing.
Bye, Chad. Thanks
Chad.
for filling in.
Thanks for being me for a little bit.
Thanks, Chad.
I'm here for you guys. I'm here.
Appreciate you.
Whenever you need me, I'll be there.
I'll be there. Oh, home run, Philly.
How wild is that?
That's
Kyle Schwarber. That guy's from Middletown, if you guys didn't know.
So what have we touched on so that I don't
we talked a little we talked a little bit about the trade deadline, and we talked about that the last drive of the first half, and I mentioned that I think Cleveland has Joe Burrow's number. Like I think he struggles against Cleveland at this point. I think that's where I'm at. I think divisional games though, especially in the NFL, are tough. Period. Obviously, when a garbage Steelers team beat us week 1, and now you've gone to Baltimore, you've gone to Cleveland, Pittsburgh. Was that in Pittsburgh or was that at home? It was at home. Yeah.
We have to go to Pittsburgh.
So you've gone, but you're 0-3 in the division, and this team is so Jekyll and Hyde. It doesn't make sense.
So we talked about on previous iterations of this show, once they started 0-2, we wanted to see them going into the bye week. Obviously 7-2 at that point was the ceiling because they couldn't win any more than their next 7 games before the bye week. But we said that we could probably settle at 6-3, and that 5-4 would be
right
where you're like some alarm bells
scratching your head, wondering what the hell's going on.
5-4, unless there would be some serious alarm bells, and potentially earlier. So we've got some alarm bells.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people saw it on Twitter last night, and Twitter's a place that can turn into a lot of stupidity.
Elon Musk knows that shit now.
I can't wait to be verified for $8 a month.
Can't
wait.
I think that yesterday there was actually a lot more. While some people might call it overreaction, I thought there was a lot of level-headed realization of what is going on with this team right now. That was spread around Twitter.
What was that? Because I must have missed that.
Well, the funny thing is there's so many people who are, if you say a bad word about the Bengals on Twitter,
I'm so tired of that.
You're not a fan.
Oh my God. Bengals fans telling people they're not Bengals fans is the worst, is the most toxic thing that happens on Twitter. As a matter of fact, is that another home run?
Okay,
damn, that's
Ed.
Anyways,
you were really on a good roll.
I'm gonna send Elon Musk an email myself and ask him to ban all Bengals fans that shit on Bengals fans.
All right, Ed.
And get rid of spaces.
You won't.
I think
I'll
it's
tweet
one of
him
those
right now.
things. Like, obviously, like we've said it about Bearcats fans, we've said it about Reds fans, and now it's kind of rearing its head again with Bengals fans about like you can't tell somebody how to fan, right? And I've been just about every kind of fan that there is. Like over,
It's so funny
like-
to have seen your progression through
Like-
fandom over the last several years.
like overexcited. Like this team is always, there's always hope, to like, just being flat out like, this team sucks. Like I don't want any part of this team, but I've always been a fan, so I'm always going to be a fan. Like now, it's like during the course of the game, and I may have tweeted this out. Like I think I did because I tagged Dave in it. Dave and I talk about it. Dave and I talk about it on the brunch. Like I'm not going to let the performance of individuals on a field like affect my emotions to the point where it like ruins my day. Like the 4 hours or 3 hours or whatever it is of game time. Yes, and I'll have some like pretty crazy emotional swings during games while I'm watching it, and I think a lot of people do.
Sure.
And Twitter obviously like puts a magnifying glass on that, and social media in general, because you can put your thoughts out immediately as you're having them. And I give props to people that don't go back and delete their immediate thoughts that pop up or whatever. And then Ed has receipts. So it is what it is. But I thought yesterday that, there were a lot of people who were kind of coming to this realization that like, I think some people thought that maybe this team was going to like walk back to the Super Bowl or, walk through the season and be 17-0. And there were some issues last year with, the offensive line, and they bring these guys in. Some of them aren't performing to the level we thought maybe they could, or that the team isn't performing to the level we thought that they could. And some of that has to do with, a lot of us have pinpointed it to Zach Taylor and play calling. He said it's a collective effort of play calling. To me, it's wild that an NFL group of coaches can't put together a scheme with the players that we have that's more effective than what they've been able to produce so far this year.
Sure.
Consistently. We've seen flashes, obviously, of a team that looks unbeatable, and then flashes of a team that looks like they might deserve to go 0-17.
Like I said, it's a Jekyll and Hyde team. I don't understand what's going on, and it's bothersome because, I still go back to that Baltimore game, which still doesn't make any sense to me. That Baltimore game, we averaged less than 4 yards per play, which we don't do. They didn't take the long shots. This team, or this game was. You guys watched it more than I did.
No,
I was also podcasting.
Well, you were podcasting what was going on. So I watched the first half, and then I was so frustrated with the way things were going that I came into here. I put the game on my phone, so it was on a small screen, but I was playing Call of Duty because I needed to get some frustration out.
Was
Duty 2? Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah.
As
Talk about it later.
put it in the lightning round.
In the word, yeah.
I don't know, like, were you able to see, was it the defense? Like, again, I didn't get it, like, the feel for the game as I was being pulled in a lot of different directions on the podcast. Was it the defense? Because obviously you have some injuries there, as you're missing DJ Reader, you're missing Logan Wilson.
But DJ
now
Reader's
down.
been gone. DJ Reader's been gone for a minute.
Agreed. You're now down Chidobe Awuzie, who left the game and is out for the season now. You also have Trey Hendrickson, who is injured every week, but is apparently just a monster.
No, just playing video games, Clay. And now he totally took out. Apparently Hendrickson like snapped his finger in half yesterday, and then went back into. Then went back into the game.
Ed's beard looks like a ginger kiss snow cone. Well played.
I was just on a call today at work, and I said, I think I need some Just for Men for my beard before I go on our team meeting.
I mean, I thought early on that the defense looked much like the defense that we're used to seeing so far this year.
I thought they looked good.
Like, I had a sick feeling right from our first drive. When
Nick Chubb is really good.
Well, yeah,
Nick Chubb is really good.
But like I had a sick feeling from like the first drive when they're moving the ball down the field, and then it gets like pinballed around, and we end up with the Browns end up with an interception. Right?
But I was mentioning.
I'm like thinking. Go ahead.
I was saying before you came on that I didn't feel any panic after that. Like I felt like, okay, all right, fine. This is going to happen to us eventually at this game. Let's get it out of the way. I still had hope, and I still had a lot of confidence in the team right after that happened. So we had two different feelings there.
So here's an observation I have aside from the game. The games that the Bengals have struggled and lost in are against the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Ravens, and now the Browns. And you're looking at all of those teams having an incredible rusher from the edge. Maybe the Ravens don't have an incredible rusher, but the Ravens always have a stout defense. But you're looking at Micah Parsons, you're looking at TJ Watt, and you're looking at Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett's a scary individual.
I mean, the fact that he created a Vecna from Stranger Things that had captured Joe Burrow in his front yard is a little strange.
What the hell is a Vecna?
It's from
if you watch Stranger Things, you would know.
Yeah, why would I watch Stranger Things?
Because most people do, because it's largely geared towards people who were born in the 80s.
Below Deck, Married at First Sight. That's where I'm at on this.
I am embarrassed to know you.
Renovation Island.
I hate you.
You don't.
I know I don't.
Back to my original point about that interception giving me like a little bit of a sick feeling, because it was like one of those things where like that's what would happen in a game like this. Oh no. See, I was live. Jeff has a grin facial hair, the backwards hat, scruffy beard, triumvirate is now complete. Oh, Aaron even has bonus hair on his headset. Excellent. No problem, Steve. Just for you. But then we block a field goal. Right?
I was happy about that. Yeah.
You block the field goal and you're like, okay, like this could be where we want to go. And then you end up with a 23-yard punt on the next series by Kevin Huber.
Is it time to cut ties? Can we? I know that I love more than anything to run around Twitter like a crazy person on Sundays, hashtagging the shit out of all of the Bearcats in the NFL. I don't want Kevin Huber to any longer be a Bearcat in the NFL.
Yeah,
because if I hashtag anything regarding him, it's bad.
I think his best role in the NFL may be as like a punt coach, some kind of special teams coach.
Sure.
I think it might be time to say like,
time to hang him up.
Let's hang the cleats up. Because I think he averaged like 28 yards a punt or something crazy yesterday. It was like terrible,
horrendous. I got the box score pulled up. I'll let you know.
And I mean, this is by no means an excuse for the loss of the game because like they got taken behind the woodshed. But
36.8.
Okay.
On 4 punts. His long was 51, so that brought the average way up.
Way up. Aaron's brought this point up before. Why do we have like officials and umpires and whatever other referees and things of that nature that are geriatric and I feel can't follow what's going on the field regular? There was a
field, court, pitch.
I think it was like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. Brissett drops back. Von Bell is like a free runner at him from the edge. Him and Hendrickson. And both of them got put in headlocks. and I mean, it was just flat out holding. I was yelling at the TV, and then he completes. Let's see if it's over here. I don't know. It might have been a little further down.
Was that the bomb to Amari Cooper down the right side of the field?
Yeah, and I don't know if it was right before they scored the field goal at the end, or if it was on their touchdown when they 3rd and 4. Yep, Amari Cooper, 18 yards.
Nailed it.
That's what it was. And I was like, oh, that's coming back. There were 2 like outrageously obvious holds. If I can see it on the TV,
Hendrickson gets held every single play.
Right.
Every play. Every play.
But and sometimes I can like look past some of those only because like they'll happen kind of quick. They're not like sustained holds necessarily. And the play, whatever. They're still missed calls, but stuff that happens within the line or on the edge of the line sometimes isn't as visible, and I get that.
Well, I think I saw a tweet. I think I saw a tweet from Micah Parsons last night, today, where he said that the referee told him that if he's getting held, but it's on the other side of the field, they're not calling.
Well, my only complaint with this was
that's if a referee's telling you that, that's shit.
Yeah. Trey Hendrickson was 8 feet in front of Brissett being held, and Von Bell still almost got his hand on him, but he was in like a rear naked choke. So how is he supposed to? Like those are things that impact the game, right? So then they get down to the 8-yard line on a 3rd down play that very well could have gotten them off the field or at least forced a field goal. Maybe that changes the complexion at that point. Obviously, by the end of the game, that doesn't really probably weigh in very heavily on what happened. But there's kinds of things that pass interference that happens when you're shoving guys down or you're pulling guys' jerseys. Like, these things need to be called. And this is not just a problem in this game. It is a problem across the NFL. It's irritating to watch.
Well, not to mention the referee who said the penalty on the Seattle Mariners coaching staff this weekend. Like, they don't even know where they're at half the time, apparently.
That's Jerome Boger, and he's probably the worst official in the NFL. So anyway, so you've got that. But like I said, the Browns flat took it to the Bengals. They deserved to win that game. They did what they had to do, and the Bengals did not. They didn't show up. I saw a tweet today that they must have gone as the 2019 Bengals for Halloween, and that's why this happened. At the end of the day, the Bengals have got to put this behind them and find a way to win the next game against the Panthers this coming weekend.
You cannot lose to the Panthers.
You've got to be 5-4 now going into the bye. You're not totally dead in the water, but you are certainly nowhere near the driver's seat. And they've got to go into the bye week and figure something out.
I guess the good news
of the season.
The good news right now is Baltimore's only at 5-3. So you're still feeling decent about what's happening.
You're 0-3 in the division.
Correct.
You are.
But division record doesn't matter as far as getting into the playoffs.
Okay. You're 0-3 in the division, and you are as far from Buffalo and Kansas City as humanly possible.
I still take the fact that we have beaten the Chiefs the last.
Maybe you're not the Raiders. Maybe you're not the Raiders, or the Titans. That both of those have kind of fallen apart completely. But Aaron, you can't watch a Bills or a Chiefs game and say this team is in the same echelon as those teams.
Think about this, though. I mean, as you're looking around,
I'm thinking about it.
As you're looking around the conference, though, I mean, you got the Jets and the Dolphins, teams that the Bengals beat both of them, sitting at 5-3.
I'm talking about the Bills and the Chiefs.
The Bills are head and shoulders above everybody right now.
You have to beat them to go to the Super Bowl.
The Chiefs, on the other hand, are 5-2. They just had their bye week, and we beat them twice.
This team did not beat them twice.
This team
didn't beat it.
But we beat what I consider to be a better Chiefs team. last year. Twice.
Yes, well, they have Andy Reid.
Well, we'll have DJ Reader and Logan Wilson back at that point.
They have Andy Reid.
We'll have Jamar Chase back at that point. They had Andy Reid last year and we beat him twice. I don't care. Get out of here.
Do you really think we're
Get
going to have Jamar
Chad
Chase?
out of here.
Do you really think we're going to have Jamar Chase back by then?
They didn't put him on IR.
I feel like that's a little. Oh, bye, Chad. I feel like it's a little wishful thinking on their part.
I don't know. That's about 5.5 weeks.
What did that doctor say?
They
That's
said
too
4
far
to
back.
6.
If they were going to put him on IR, it would have been 4 weeks. And they
So you're
chose
looking
not to
at-
put him on IR.
Yes.
You've got the Panthers this weekend, and obviously now like it's in obviously like pretty much you can lose 1 or 2 games between now and the end of the season. That's how I look at it. I don't think you can lose more than 2 more games, and you've got the Panthers.
Not if you want to win the conference. No.
Well, you've got the Panthers.
If you want to make the wild card, I think you can afford more. No, maybe not. Fuck.
You're at 4-4. So you lose if you lose 3 more, then your record you'll end up at 10-7.
Again, though, I guess great time for you to reset ESPN app. I hate you.
We had the Panthers at home. Hopefully, then we can go into the bye week. Hopefully, coming out of the bye week, maybe we get DJ Reader back. He should,
Logan Wilson?
I'm assuming. I thought Logan Wilson was already back. Did he get hurt yesterday again?
I didn't get to watch.
No, he was in yesterday.
100% of the snaps, Logan Wilson. Every snap.
Okay. Well, again, I was busy. I'm sorry. Thank you, Chad.
Chad, thank you.
Okay. So
I was too. I was on the same podcast.
I had to do all the cut and paste for the mailbag. Trying to get a word in edgewise. That's a whole different mindset I get between you and Brent and Ryan.
I was on campus all day talking to Luke, Wes, watching practice all day for both programs.
I told you I tried not to think about the Bengals today.
Chad, just try being Aaron one day.
It's hard.
It's hard.
I was full-time dad all day. Feeding 2 poopy diapers. Dude, we haven't had 2 poopy diaper day ever. That was a first. Yesterday, she shed up to her neck and I had to bathe her.
Yeah,
My
I did
5-year-old
that
did
already.
I threw away the onesie and
Jeff's truck broke up. He's still here.
Yeah, Jeff's still here.
I've been here the whole time. I'm not saying I just
Excuses are like assholes, Aaron. Everybody has one.
Everybody has one.
some excuses are dirtier than others.
So, Panthers this weekend at home. You have to win that game. No excuses. Bye week. Get DJ Reader back. Maybe somewhere between now and then they pick up another cornerback or a wide receiver
How?
off the
Okay.
out of somebody's waiver wire heap.
Seattle cut a corner that started for them all year last year.
JC Jones, is that what his name is?
I don't know. Seattle. I saw Seattle cut
second
one.
round. He was a
I
former second round pick.
I don't know if anyone has talked about that yet, but that seems like the exact guy that the Bengals would go after. A guy who started all year last year, but hasn't because rookies Tariq and Kobe have been starting for Seattle. That looks to be a guy that you would see the Bengals throwing a streamer at.
But then we're at the Steelers, and they just took away another. They just took away one of the only weapons that, I don't know, Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky. I don't know who's their quarterback anymore, but they took away one of their weapons.
Kenny Pickett, isn't it?
Chase Claypool's gone. So you're at the Steelers there. Obviously, the division game. Like, who knows what's going to
Najee
happen.
Harris is Trent Richardson version 2.0.
That
He's
sucks
about
because he's on
as good
Parker's
as-
fantasy team.
He's about as good as Joe Mixon's been this
Never
year.
draft a Steeler.
He also drafted Tom Brady in the first round.
Never
Then we're
draft
at the
a Steeler.
Titans, who I guess Tannehill is maybe seeing his last snap, and it's like Malik Willis time there.
Maybe
I think-
I don't know.
and I think
He didn't do great. He was like,
He threw 10 passes.
yeah, not great.
Then you have the Chiefs coming here.
There's, like I said, there's still some time to build momentum, to get some dubs.
I agree. You got 1 bye week, 2, 3 games. So 3 games in a bye week. That's 4 weeks plus this week that Jamar's out. Maybe
Is this your dad, Jeff?
it is.
All right. Well, I didn't know you were a junior, so there's that.
Did you know that?
And no, he doesn't. He doesn't advertise.
So that's a Sunday night. Yep. So it's a primetime road game in the division again.
Love that.
You think I'll get flexed?
On the road. It's an 8:20 game. I mean, I guess I don't know if
Is it late enough in the season to be flexed?
I mean, that's week
December 4th.
I wish it would.
10, week 10.
God, I hate primetime games. Because you're the only game everyone's watching. You're the only game on. Plenty of money riding on it, and this Cincinnati always shits the bed
In prime time.
But you've got like the games that you're looking at that you're
January
probably gonna
2nd.
lose.
Oh, sorry.
You got the Chiefs here. I'm just gonna say it now. Like, you're probably gonna lose that game. You've got the Bills here, another primetime game.
Yep.
Probably that's an L. So then you can lose either to the Ravens. Like, then you've got Ravens here, at the Buccaneers, at the Patriots, and the Browns here. So pick one of those for an L to go 6-3 over the end,
Don't tell me what to do.
which puts you at 10-7, and maybe at that point gets you in as a wild card.
All right.
Maybe.
You forgot to uncheck the loop, Aaron, when you started the podcast tonight.
I didn't forget anything. I don't produce this show.
Jeez.
Anyway. All right. So the Bearcats, they also lost this weekend because it was an awesome weekend.
You poopy water. We don't really need to talk too much about it, do we?
Steven says, please take that sound and throw it away.
Steven, it was turned down 30%. And also,
he's yelling in all caps.
I asked to take that sound away last week, but Aaron said to keep it.
So did Jeff.
The Bearcats. Ed? Since you didn't have a soccer tournament.
No, I did have a soccer tournament. We talked about this. I had receipts. And I did have coverage. But in between I watched maybe 30% of the game.
Well,
you didn't really miss much.
And I was going to watch it, rewatch it yesterday, but then,
I was there. And
it didn't look good.
I know Chad hasn't liked this take, but I still think that the defense was completely gassed at the end of the game. It was roughly 85 degrees at kickoff, which feels like at 90 degrees. I think somebody hit me in my mentions saying that Cincinnati possessed the ball for 7.5 minutes in the second half. 7.5 minutes in the second half.
Yeah.
I don't know how the defense isn't supposed to be gassed at that point.
It is also on the defense to get off the field so that they're not gassed. That is their responsibility as well, Aaron.
There.
I would say that that's true. I actually side with Aaron because I brought this up. The offense cannot continue to go.
I agree.
3 and out.
I made that point. They went 3 and out the first 2 drives of the first half. They went 3 and out the first 2 drives of the second half. But they are terrible over the past month on third down. You know how you go to the
either side
sideline?
of the ball. It doesn't matter what side of the ball.
But I'm talking specifically, we're talking defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you go to the sideline and get a breather? You get off the field. You know also how you stay out there for too long? The last 2 drives by UCF, they only had 1 third down in those drives. The defense didn't stop anybody from anything.
Well, that's also at the end of the game.
when they're
That's where
tired.
we're saying the problem arises
Okay,
because now
but-
they've been on the field. They've been on the field so much
So
because your
Jeff,
offense
it's
is doing
okay
it.
with you that the defense allowed first downs on
It's
first
not.
and second down every fucking play?
It's not okay.
Every play, Jeff. Every play. First or second down was a first down.
But this goes back to the offense being shit for 3 quarters.
And the defense wasn't much better. The only reason that wasn't a 40-point game was because they forced one fumble in the red zone.
Because the defense kept them in the game.
And they forced one fumble, football on a helmet, and a helmet on a football.
Mhm.
And then they just missed a mesh point, and Cincinnati recovered.
Okay.
You're giving UC's defense the credit for that, Aaron?
I'm giving them a little credit
Yeah.
on the.
They still had to
giving them
recover
credit-
it.
I'm giving them credit on the forced fumble with Threat's helmet.
I'm giving them credit. It was Van Fossen.
At the end of the first half,
Yes.
they should.
credit it to Van Fossen, but when I was watching it, it was Threat's helmet that went in, and Van Fossen's hand was coming in from the side.
Okay, whatever. Who cares?
But right,
They
But
forced the fumble. The second one was a mesh point. I gave Eric Phillips a huge
You
amount of
did.
credit because he tackled the running back
and then
and kept him from getting back
Yeah.
on the ball.
Well,
But
I don't know that there's anybody that goes 1-on-1 with Corleone and wins that diving battle, but
Anywhere.
right.
Phillips made
But
a great play.
the defense is also culpable
They
for
are.
not getting off the field. The
Right.
time of possession.
The only
And I
argument I'm
thought-
making here is the fact that I think that this game is more on the offense than the defense. The end.
And I thought,
Yeah, but we're not faulting to do that. It's not faulting the defense at all for giving up another 50% on third downs and
You're right.
not
And-
being able to get
That third down defense is atrocious.
off the field, Aaron. You know how you limit. You know how you get over to the sideline and drink some water.
The two drives. The two drives that you're complaining about, though, were at the end of the game when UCF had possessed the ball for
Do you
30
really want me to go back and complain about the entire game where the defense couldn't get off the field?
my problem with the defense was I thought that they had just a horrible game plan because, and Dave and I talked about it on Sunday. It was like the softest coverage I've ever seen.
No,
Once John Rice,
spot. It's one spot, and they've always played soft coverage at the field corner. They've
Well,
always
once-
played soft coverage on the field corner.
and it helped out Mikey Keene, who hasn't played since last year, make easy. They're giving him 8 yards a pass.
They've given that up every play for 4 years.
And it exacerbated itself and reared its ugly head, and they got exposed for it on Saturday.
Okay, but
national
that's the defense.
national championship coaches
That's
will
the
do that.
defense.
I just thought it was a bad game plan to continue to do it that way. I mean,
That's how this defensive plays. They press on the boundary. They play off on the field. They press at times in the slot. They actually didn't play a nickel corner for most of the game. They played 3 safeties.
I don't know if Ben doesn't overthrow like 4 or 5 passes, if there aren't
Four
like 4 or 5 drops. Yeah.
yeah.
Again,
That's
that's
what's
where.
killing them early in each half.
But that's where I am at with
both.
that. I'm placing more blame on the offense than on the defense because
But
again,
the defense
you're
going
talking
to
about-
hey, guess what they did the
Wait.
last 2 years, Aaron?
but you're
Guess what
talking
they
about the
did?
last.
They
You're
got
talking
off
about
the field on
But you're
third
talking
down.
about the last 2 drives of the game that resulted in touchdowns.
No, I'm
and-
talking about the last 3 years of evidence. When the offense put them in bad positions, the defense got off the field and gave the ball back to the offense. They're not doing it.
Again, I think that the defense kept them in the game until the last 2 drives, as Cincinnati had.
But you're ignoring empirical evidence that the defense is culpable
But
for why they had to stay on the field.
I'm also making the argument for 22 minutes time of possession versus 37 minutes. And if it really was 7.5,
Because-
8 minutes of the possession in the second half, what do you do with that? That's
Get off the field when you're the defense. On third down, get a stop.
or you're just tired and can't get off
Yeah.
the field because
It's-
the offense has
It's
left you in
partially
that position.
your fault. Yes, it is on the offense not being able to sustain drives. That is absolutely a factor. But because that is the low-hanging fruit, we ignore the fact that this defense can't get off the field. Am I wrong in saying that? Tell me I'm wrong in saying that so I know where you stand.
On those last 2 drives, you're absolutely correct.
On every successful UCF drive in the game.
That's how successful
UCF
drives
didn't
go.
get short fields. You know how many turnovers UC had? Offense?
I mean, that's sure. Yeah. He was overthrowing the person who was trying to catch the ball and the defender on him.
You're being disingenuous in talking about this. Disingenuous in talking about this. If the defense wants to get over to the bench and have some water, get a stop on 3rd down. Aaron, those last 2 drives did not involve anything that I'm saying, because the second to last drive, they had 1 3rd down. The last drive, 0. Not a single fucking 3rd down.
How does that not scream a defense that's gassed, that's tired?
It's their job to get off the field. That's your job.
But
it's like your job was to talk to Brent about doing the podcast on Sunday night, and you just didn't do it.
But because of the way the game went.
What's your job to talk to Brent about doing the podcast on Sunday night?
I don't know.
Did you do your job?
I don't know what we're doing here.
We're having fun.
Clay would like to know if we'd like to talk about NFL trade deadlines again.
If we're going to do this, we're going to have fun doing it. Yes, there's culpability on the offense for not being able to get moving and produce more. This was the main thing we talked about last week going into the UCF game. 3 and outs are deadly. 4 play drives are deadly. This offense needs to have more 7-play, 40-yard drives where they punt and the opponent takes over at the 12-yard line. They're not doing that well enough, and that puts stress on the defense. But it is also the defense's job to go out there and get off the field, and they're not doing that. Aaron, I'd actually like to see the actual number of times that the opposing team has run 85 or more plays in a game against this Cincinnati defense. That's on the defense. That's on the defense to get you can't continue to let the opponent run 85, 90. The Indiana offense ran 100 plays.
You can't run
plays.
You can't run that many plays if the offense is actually doing something.
Okay, but you're only blaming one side, you fucking idiot. You're not allowing the conversation to be expanded to, it is also the defense's fault. Right? You have decided it is only the offense's fault. The defense has no culpability, and that their 3rd down percentage is one of the worst in the nation.
Okay.
That's not on the defense?
We're not going to see eye to eye on this.
Because you're not being rational. I am blaming the offense and also the defense. You are only blaming the offense. And I'm at fault for that in your mind. I'm at fault for that. Jeff, am I wrong here? Is there not some culpability on the defense to get off the field?
What I was going to get at the end of agreeing with Aaron, that I thought the defense was gassed at the end, and that's what
they might have been. Like, that's fair. Okay. I think that's fair.
And that's what caused two drives that are very unlike a Cincinnati defense to give up.
I will never excuse the fact that they couldn't stop on 1st down or 2nd down. Jeff,
leading up to that, okay, from the beginning of the game, it is right, but then like at some point, you have to say like they need a little help on their side, but that's why it's a team game, and why you always hear Luke say like you've got to have all you want to play like complementary football, right? So like the offense has to drive.
There were 2 drives, Jeff. There were 2 drives that got inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
That they made one play, getting a hat on a football and forcing a fumble, and then another play where UCF messed up a mesh point. Those drives were inside the 10-yard line. They weren't those weren't drives that there were fumbles at the 50. The UC defense, they gave up 500 plus yards. 500 plus yards. 250 rushing yards again.
And 140 or 150 of those yards came on those last 2 drives. So even if you take that out, they've given up 350. No, I agree. But they needed to get stops earlier.
The offense took the lead twice in the fourth quarter. Twice in the fourth quarter, they took the lead.
In the first half,
they took the lead.
I agree.
Winning drives in the fourth quarter of a game you had no business being in the lead. No business being in the lead. They took the lead twice in the fourth quarter, and they lost it twice.
In the first half, they forced a 3-and-out. Well, a 4-and-out on UCF's first drive.
Are you this vehement about defending the Bengals for how shit they are in the first half?
But you think I'm like just fully blaming the offense, and I'm not.
Aaron is.
But what I'm saying
is
I'm saying the defense started the game by forcing a 4-and-out. So they get a first down, then they get a punt, right? And then the offense turns around and is a 3-and-out. Then the defense gives up 7 plays, 53 yards, and a field goal, which that's like half a win, right? You kind of got off the field a little bit.
They got down to 10?
But you gave up points. And then UC's offense goes 3-and-out. And then UC's defense gives up a touchdown. And so that's on the defense because that's early in the game. You can't say you're tired.
Right. I've said they have to find more consistency.
And then they went
especially
back and forth
early
with
in each half. I asked
UC
Luke.
Gets a field goal.
I asked Luke about it. I asked fucking Ryan Montgomery about it. Like anybody I can ask, I asked them about why is this team struggling early in halves to find rhythm.
And he said, and Luke said they're still trying to figure out who they are.
We're in week 8, week 9.
I know, but that's what Luke said. I mean, he said they're still trying to.
But my point being, this is
it's like I'm not saying this is all on the offense, but I'm saying that when you come down to the crunch time at the end of the game, it is helpful.
It's nut check time for that defense to get a stop. If they got one stop in the final 2 drives, they win. They win.
You're right.
They win.
And if the offense scores on any of the 3-and-outs all the way through the first half of the game,
if your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle.
You're right. And if the defense got to stop on the last 2 drives, then they would have won. And if the offense would have scored, they would have won.
My entire point is there is equal blame to lay.
I agree with that.
Aaron wants to lay the entire blame on the offense. The defense was exhausted. It's the offense's fault. Mainly because he's an Evan Prater truther, and he's just trying to this is what he's trying to do. He's trying to shit on Ben Bryant, and I knew that would get him back.
That's not even it.
I know, Aaron. I just knew how to get you back on the street. There is equal culpability because they are not. I've written about it 3 weeks in a row. They are not playing complementary football. They are playing desperation football, right?
They've been playing with fire. They've been playing with fire.
Desperately save the other side, and
they've been playing with
the other side tries to desperately say they're not in sync. They're not in rhythm. They're not
for 8 weeks. For 8 weeks, they've played with fire.
Yeah,
and they got burned.
Yeah, absolutely.
The game against Arkansas,
but the reason is not specifically and solely because the defense was tired and couldn't hold a lead twice at the end of that game.
And my thing is I don't blame it totally on the fact that they're tired because I think, like I said, I thought that I am not a fan of the 3-3-5, and I know that that's what they play and that's what they have run and that's what they're gonna keep doing.
Jeff,
they are not going to magically come out and change that.
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead. Yep.
3-man front. The problem is with the 3-man front.
Yes.
The greatest dynasty in the NFL ever. How many down linemen did the New England Patriots play with?
I have no idea.
They played a 3-man
I'm guessing
front.
you're going to say it's a 3-man front because
the Pittsburgh Steelers, the second winningest team in the history of the NFL in terms of championships, what did they play with? A 3-man front.
No idea.
It has nothing to do with how many defensive linemen you have. Now, the Bearcats were in deep shit on Saturday because Malik Vann, 5th-year senior, is out for the year, and Jabari Taylor, 6th-year senior, was also out for that game. You could play a 7-man front, and if your 2 stalwarts on the end were not in the game, you're in big trouble. Now, does that probably help like in October of next year? Because all these guys are getting
experience
more
that they
meaningful
can't
reps and like
probably.
Yeah. But where it destroyed them was on Saturday when they didn't have Malik Vann and they didn't have Jabari Taylor.
Well, I mean, they haven't had Malik Vann for weeks.
Well, yeah, but there's nobody behind Malik Vann that's Malik Vann.
Well, I get that. I mean, that's like saying, are you gonna you're not gonna go replace Chidobe Awuzie and like that.
But the point being, maybe by next year, Eric Phillips is ready for that role. But right now, he was ready to be Malik Vann's backup. Justin Watley was ready to be Jabari Taylor's backup. So that's where the Bengals last year benefited from incredible health. The Bearcats last year benefited from incredible health. Neither of those teams is getting that advantage this year. And when Luke talks about 1As and 1Bs, right? You know what's a problem? When you have 1As and 1Bs and your 2s become the 1Bs. Because they're not ready for it yet. So it's not that Eric Phillips and Justin Watley aren't ready. It's that the guys behind them aren't ready. And when you're allowing 85, 90, 100 snaps a game, you can't leave Eric Phillips and Justin Watley, who were supposed to be 1Bs, on the field for 70, 75, 80 snaps.
Okay, so this is me attempting to learn something here. When they play Navy, when they play any of these triple option or heavy run teams, they go to four. They play 4 down linemen on a more regular basis
because those teams don't use 3 receivers, so you don't have to put a nickel on the field because they don't have a 3rd receiver in the game. So now you can use an extra defensive lineman because you don't have to defend the nickel.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay.
Like I said, this is me.
No,
learning.
you're asking. I'm trying to make sure I explain it right.
That makes sense. My question being, if they are doing that there and they're getting hit for essentially 5 yards a carry here, right? Like they let them throw the ball everywhere because Mikey Keene averaged almost 9 yards a throw.
Yeah, because the entire this is where it gets. This is where I think
wrenches get thrown in.
Let me. I think this is where, when you have a team like last year, that basically everybody had been playing together for 3 or 4 years, right? So they have experienced everything, right? So when a change happens, you've already gone through all those plans and playbooks and whatever. For John Rice Plumlee, if you paid attention, there was a schematic change very specifically to UC's defense. They took the nickel corner off the field and added a 3rd safety in order to stop what UCF was doing in the run game with John Rhys Plumlee when he was a quarterback. When Plumlee went out and Keene came in, they didn't have the depth and experience to say, okay,
To change on the fly.
Mikey Keene is not going to run the ball. That's not what he does. So now you have to come up with a completely different game plan in the middle of what's
He ran
happening.
it one time. Just so that's out. He ran it one time for 9 yards.
Yeah,
That was it.
he's not. That's why Mikey Keene's a good quarterback, but he doesn't fit what Gus Malzahn wants. Gus Malzahn wants read option, quarterback run. Like that's how his system works. When they made that switch, I don't think the Cincinnati defense had the experience and the depth of knowledge to be able to change and say
From what the game plan was going into the game.
To say, okay, this is what we think they're going to do, which was, if you watched, and Luke talked about it a little today, they went to a more, it wasn't RPO. It was like misdirection. The jet sweeps, they would pull.
The special plays.
Yes, and I think that goes a little deeper than people realize, where like they would pull a guard and a center this way and hand the ball off this way. So when the defense sees a guard and a center pulling to the right, they obviously flow to the right because that's what your eyes tell you to do. When you see linemen all shifting this way, and then the ball went back that way. So now you've lost weak side contain. Everybody's flowing to the right. The ball's going to the left. Like it, I think they would have won that game if John Rhys Plumlee stayed in the game. But when Mikey Keene came in, you don't have a defense that, one, has Sauce and Kobe on the corners and Brian Cook at safety. That you just eliminate the passing game. You're not passing on us. We're gonna take that away. You don't have that. So, there's this learning curve that we forget happened in 2018 and 2019. As all of these guys that became stars, they went through these ups and downs. And remember how uneven that was. Like we talked about. People wanted Dez out. There were people that weren't sold on Marcus Freeman in 2018 and early 2019.
Very true. Yeah.
Because the guys on the field were gaining that live experience. There's not, especially without Malik, especially without Jabari.
But you've lost the guys that had built the live experience as backups previously.
Love you, Kathy. Thanks for listening.
You lost the guys that have the
you
previous
have to build
experience.
that back up.
But what I'm saying is, like, the guys that you had kind of given a little bit more experience to last year, you've lost a couple of them now.
Right.
And
Exactly.
Malik and Jabari not being there, and now you have guys who are full on learning on the fly without a guy next to them
Correct.
that is set in stone as the dude.
And the difference being, those guys that were supposed to be taking 30% of the snaps are now taking 60% of the snaps or 70% of the snaps.
So mistakes are magnified and
right.
It cause a bigger issue than, say, if you do have, say you do put Watley in, but you've got Malik Van to maybe pick up the slack if he misses something or is off.
Right.
But now instead you have Eric Phillips and Watley, and if one
And guess what? That's showing up on tape, Jeff.
Yeah.
Tape doesn't lie. Like
I agree.
The tape is telling these teams, and guys like, where it really comes down to, guys like, and I'm trying to calm it down for you, Kathy. I'm dropping my voice level. Guys like Jaheim Thomas, guys like Wilson Huber, those linebackers, and guys like not just Ivan because he's playing in the middle, but like Deshaun Pace, Tyvin Boston, they have to be able to set the edge from the outside. And that's not happening. They were dominated on the edge against UCF. Dominated on the edge against UCF. It was a disaster. Disaster. As soon as UCF got the ball outside the tackles, it was 6, 7, 8 yards minimum.
My other thing is, and like it's like I said before, and it's like I brought up Dave and I talked about it on the brunch. Like, maybe with the guys, absolutely with the guys that they had last year before, the ability to play a little bit softer on the outside.
Then, but don't break, because when you knew you got in the red zone, they were dead. The opponent was dead. If they got in the red zone, they were done.
And I just, obviously, I'm not a football coach at any level. I like to watch it. I like to see it. A lot of my points that I bring up are points that a normal fan is probably going to look at and see.
I'm a football coach in Madden, just Super Bowl winning, by the way.
And it just, to me, when you look at it, and like it's kind of verified by the stats that I've thrown out, that Mikey Keene is averaging 8.5, almost 9 yards a pass. And
they took the free access.
And like just these little like they dink and dunked them to death until those last 2 drives, and then they were hitting some bigger plays, but like nothing over. The biggest play was like 26 yards.
Jeff, the thing that happened at the end where it lends some credibility to the being tired that you've been talking about, it was the free access plays that in the beginning of the game were 5, 6, 7 yards. And then there was a missed tackle and a guy spun out of it. Next thing you know, it's like a 14, 15, 16-yard play instead of a 6-yard play. Like, that's where I buy that there was fatigue that set in on those final 2 drives.
I mean,
my point being, you just can't let a team march down the field twice with 1 third down and 2 drives.
You can't
1 third down and 2 drives.
You give up and on the 1 third down, you give up a 12-yard pass on third and long.
Yeah.
And that's where I come back to, like, it just didn't feel like, and maybe they didn't get any pressure. When you look at the box score,
that was part of UCF's plan, clearly.
You look down at it. I mean, the passes were coming out quick, but it's because they were there and available. There were going to be there was going to be no coverage sacks.
After the Tulsa game, everybody decided we're not sitting in the pocket. We're not giving Cincinnati a chance to pin their ears.
I mean, Ivan Pace is fast, but he's not fast enough to get back there when you're already in shotgun. And
there's a reason that they put the stopwatch on those snaps.
I mean,
because it's like, if you look at it out in 2.5 seconds, it's very hard to sack you.
A total of 7 tackles for loss over the course of the game and only 1 sack.
Yeah.
And 1 quarterback hurry. They were credited with 1 quarterback hurry. And that part of the defense is what that didn't show up. They had things set up, and with John Rice Plumlee going out, and then you bring in a guy who's not like a true backup. Like, he's not that guy that's like just holding the clipboard all the time. Obviously he is this year, but like, he started a significant number of, I think 10 games last year he started.
Well,
so he's got experience. You don't necessarily have to dumb the playbook down, but you're reading from a different playbook for Mikey Keene.
You want my opinion?
Yeah.
He's better than John Rice Plumlee.
Oh, as a quarterback?
I
think absolutely.
John Rice Plumlee's skill set fits Gus Malzahn's offense better.
John Rice Plumlee wasn't a quarterback, was he? I thought he was like...
No, he was a quarterback that was so bad at quarterback, they fired the head coach and moved him to wide receiver.
So he's a project quarterback that is now, so anyway, that's where I am on that game. I know you've talked about it a lot, and I've now talked about it a lot, and I would like to put it behind this team. Hopefully they can learn from it. A nice wake up call. They are also not dead in the water. They're actually in a little bit better spot, obviously, than the Bengals are for their season goals. Because I still think everything's ahead of the Bearcats as long as they take care of business. That's going to take a lot, I think. I mean, they've got some.
Not really.
What do we got coming up? You got Navy this week,
Yeah.
then East Carolina, but it's here.
Yeah.
The only thing that scares me about East Carolina is playing at East Carolina, and then you're at Temple.
East Carolina's
We're
playing
not
really well.
We're home with both of them.
That's what I said. I said it's here. The only thing about East Carolina that scares me is if we were to be playing there.
They are playing really well. Like you have to give East Carolina credit.
Oh, absolutely.
Over the past month, they're playing really well. But Cincinnati played 3 of their first 4 conference games on the road. They went 3-1. They get 3 of their 4 final conference games at home. And the road game is Temple, who is trash.
So then it comes down to that game against Tulane, which has to be a nip at night game. I don't know if that is possible because I know it's
Black Friday, right? No, I think it's going to be I don't know that it's going to be. It's Black Friday.
Oh. So that's the game it's going to come down to that, right? Like you got to win that game. You have to win all of them, but that's the one that gives me a little more pause than the rest.
Moving on. Basketball starts.
And I'm sorry to everyone for fighting about that whole topic. I want Aaron to acknowledge offense and defense problem, not just defense. But he won't do it. So
Yeah, Aaron.
Okay.
That's
And
all.
your headband.
Ryan Royer. Are you dressed up as Ryan Royer for the day after Halloween?
You dressed up as Ryan Royer for Halloween?
The day after Halloween. It's the day after Halloween.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe
I bought a headband because my hair is growing out and it's fun.
Maybe if Ryan Royer played for UC next year, that would be a headband that he would wear.
You guys remember when you told me that I was buying bucket hats because I thought I wanted to be young again?
No one ever said you were trying to be young again. You were trying to be a fisherman.
No.
We made fun of you
in the
because you were
group
trying
chat.
to be
No,
a
in the group
fisherman.
chat, Clay, back me up on this. In the group chat, you guys
Clay's
said
gone.
Ed's buying bucket hats because he thinks he's 25 again. I
Good
only
luck
bought
on
one.
No
I
one
didn't-
laughs that way, Ed.
No,
No one.
No one.
somebody does.
I would never say that you were trying to be young again with a bucket hat.
Maybe we can give you one of those headbands free next year, Aaron. You know what I'm saying?
Old man River wears a bucket hat.
Remember when I wanted to buy the red one that said cats on it?
Hey,
All right.
your brother Bill
I'm-
wears a bucket hat.
I'm trying to drop hints, but nobody's listening. Bye,
I
guys.
got it. All of it.
All right, Aaron. Basketball. 6 days, right?
Whoever muted me's an a-hole.
I did not mute you.
Jeff.
Well done.
What do you got for us on the basketball front, Aaron?
They play in 6 days.
Because I'm very talked out right now. Outside of the fact, I do have some things I would like to talk about with basketball, but they're very kind of generic. Because this is really like where Ed shines is basketball talk. So
It is.
Yeah, Ed doesn't shine at basketball talk until the actual season starts because Ed doesn't know what to expect from these guys until this. He doesn't know what to expect these guys. Ed makes analysis during the games.
okay, what is your feeling on people leaking the this is lightning round ish, but it looks like half Gandalf the Grey costume with that halftone beard. That's funny. What is your take? Because, like I said, this is lightning round ish. What is your take on like
Oh my God.
certain fan bases leaking out results from secret scrimmages and touting them as like they're gonna hang a banner in their arena over
Secret
the
scrimmages don't mean shit.
Do you disagree that I brought this point up the other night? Do you disagree that even in a scrimmage, are you giving 100%? And yes,
Oh!
I know that these guys are competing for minutes because there's a lot of dudes on this team, and there are only so many minutes.
When I played basketball and we had scrimmages, there was only a couple games where I would go 90 to 100%. It was just because I didn't like the guys on the other team.
Are you talking about middle school basketball or are you talking about high school basketball?
High school basketball.
All right. And are you talking about JV or varsity?
I'm talking about rec league.
Okay.
I remember because I tried out for high school basketball, and Coach Orth was Coach Orth, right? He was like, Mayhaw, what are you doing here? It's trying out, coach, and he laughed at me. And so I just made it through one
I think
one
that's
day
the first time I've laughed in 20 minutes.
But like, don't take these super secret scrimmages seriously. These is literally just a chance for the coaches to go out and get these guys reps against people who aren't their own teammates. They've been practicing against their own teammates and maybe some other guys, for the last month and a half they've been in practices, probably a little bit longer than that. But this is literally just a chance for them to get runs against other people.
I did find it interesting today that Wes Miller said he would run 5 or 6 exhibitions in a or scrimmage in a preseason if he could. Obviously that's not the case. He said he learns about 4 to 5 times more about his team in these exhibitions than he does in practice.
Sure.
But I think
But if you know that as a player, are you going to give 100% as opposed to
I guess as a player, you might give 100%, but you're not trying to go out there and hurt yourself before the season starts, right? And you pretty much know where you stand with your coach at that point, right? Right now, you're just playing for maybe a starting spot in a scrimmage, maybe not even that.
I don't. Wes, if we look at last year, Wes runs a rotation of about 10.
Yeah. So I could see where they could be helpful for Wes Miller. Yes, he could run a couple different plays. You can run some guys out there in different formations, maybe a couple different teams, maybe a couple different mixtures out there. But it's not.
I think there's more than a couple rotations that you're looking at, especially when you're talking about if you listen to any of our nightcaps. If you're listening to any of our nightcaps,
a few, not a couple. A few.
They've even put Jarrett Hensley at the 5. Just messing around with some different things.
Positionless basketball.
Positionless basketball.
What what I bring it up is because from the first scrimmage that they had, from what was kind of like put out there, talked about.
You want to get to Ohio State, or
it seemed that
Ohio. We never played Ohio State.
Sorry, Ohio.
The Bobs.
Yeah, the Cats.
It was insinuated that, or from what I understand, Ohio only played like 7 of their guys,
and they were trying to win.
West was like rotating guys through, and it's not even like a real you're not playing 4 quarters and that kind of thing. You're playing kind of more like sessions, and it seems to me, and from what Aaron just said, that West says he would play 4 or 5 of these scrimmages, exhibitions, whatever you want to call them, before the season if he was allowed to. That he uses it more as a time to evaluate his players against other guys that they haven't seen, similar to what Ed's talking about, and is able to then mix things in and out. And then you have the talk that, maybe Ohio only played 7 guys, and some teams maybe use it as kind of to boost themselves up, maybe their confidence of, hey, look, you just went out there and beat UC in this exhibition, you guys have what it takes, or maybe you're putting your normal rotations only 7 dudes, so that's what you're doing,
right? And
you're not trying anything new. You're just full going this is going to be the game plan for the season, and at this point, I know who my guys are. I don't need to see anything else. I'm going to put them out there, and you've got Wes that's got dudes that might not play together during the regular season, or he might find something during this and say, oh man, this combination of guys on the floor actually work really well together. We're able to do some things we're not usually doing.
I'm gonna put that in my back pocket and maybe use that later on in the season. Exactly. Right. It's like in soccer when you have and you're doing a scrimmage game and you put in your second string goalie, right? It's like
obviously they have to figure out things very quickly, as they play in 6 days against Chaminade, and I believe it's right off to Maui after that.
And then they've got Cleveland State on the 10th, Eastern Kentucky on the 13th, Northern Kentucky on the 16th, and then the Arizona game is on the 21st, and that's
Maui. That's Maui.
The NKU game is at NKU, right?
2, 3, 4. Yes. So you've got.
I'll try to hit that one up.
You got 4 games.
Tune-up games.
4 games to get right. To figure things out in games that count. They're not scrimmages, and we've
like to count towards your record. Yeah.
Brent brings it up every week that on Chaminade's website it's listed as an exhibition, and on Cincinnati's website it's listed as a game. So,
well, I don't know. Chaminade's name is not clickable on the ESPN schedule. So
on ESPN, they're a gray badge with a white stripe through it.
It just says Chaminade, and it's not clickable with a link.
Their profile is photo.
Check it out.
But yeah, you got 4 games, and Cincinnati is inexplicably at Northern Kentucky. Never do that again. Don't give them a home and home.
I might go to that game. I think as an alum, I should get discount tickets, right?
If you want to do it, make it like a 3-in-1. Don't even do it 2.
That was left over from the previous regime, I think.
Don't even do it 2-in-1. Make it a 3-in-1.
So maybe if they beat Eastern Kentucky and Northern Kentucky, at some point maybe they can squeeze a game in against Western Kentucky and then play UK in the tournament.
Northern was obviously the
previous regime
from Mick.
Oh, from the stadium.
Yeah. So they agreed to play 4 games against Northern, 2 at UC, 2 at Northern.
Okay.
That got kind of pushed off because of COVID and.
Oh, okay. I'll say that would have.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't just want to just skip it or.
No, Northern is like, y'all coming here twice.
They didn't want to try and hose somebody because contractually it was for that year or anything.
What contract?
Like Xavier did.
Northern wasn't about that at all. They were
shocker.
They were hell bent on. We agreed to 2 games there, 2 games here. We're gonna do that.
We don't want your buyout.
Right.
We want you here.
Right. We need butts in our perfect example, right? I'm like, well, maybe go check that out. Maybe I'll get an alumni discount. So yeah, it works for them.
Right.
Since you're sitting here, Chad, and you're the only one of us, I don't think Aaron's been back to see any practices. With what you can and are permitted to divulge, quick 2-minute thoughts on what you're seeing going on.
There's a definitive growth process where they have been trying to work through defensively, all the pieces fitting together.
Okay.
I think it's interesting because this is a team now with a glut of talented players at a lot of similar positions. So how are you going to obviously David DeJulius, Landers Nolly, Jeremiah Davis.
Davenport?
Jeremiah Davenport, sorry. Jeremiah Davis. Oof. Those guys
him on my roster.
That was
the
a
rare
long time
Edwin.
ago. Yeah, that was a long time ago, Jeremiah Davis. Those 3 guys are your best offensive weapons. So then you have to surround them with who provides defense, who provides rebounding. That's my biggest concern for this team.
Really?
Rebounding.
How's Sage doing though?
I would guess Sage red shirts.
Oh, okay.
I think Sage is going to be really good, but I don't think he's ready for
Well, and he kind of got some of his
high school development, right?
Oh, yeah, and then he had some of his high school development was kind of stunted a little bit with the move from.
His high school development was stunted by tearing his MCL and being out for 8 months.
Fair.
he
I just
would
meant
have.
like the
Yeah,
he
but
would've-
what
so
I'm
he
saying
would've-
is,
he would have made the same number of. I thought COVID like cut all of his cut like a giant chunk of his high
not
school
really.
out. No,
The knee injury cut way more.
was more impactful than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He missed basically an entire summer and like half of his senior season as they were trying to like do right by him because
Right.
they weren't going to just like,
100.
there's a potential you're a best player, so you have to play all the time. Like that, they didn't force that upon him.
Yeah.
So his high school coach did right by him, but it also means that he's still making up a lot of ground. My guess is he redshirts. Josh Reed is probably back into the rotation, at least for right now. And that puts you to like about 10 guys, 10, 11 guys, depending on how how they
Back
play
to the
it.
hockey rotations of early last year.
Yeah, but I don't like.
Not quite the same full send.
Well,
Swap.
they were desperate at that point. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't have answers. They didn't have. These are the guys that are going to be on the floor to get us buckets. It was, we're trying to throw as much shit against the wall as we can.
I know, like last year, Wes made mention of, at certain points during, like leading up to the season and even into the beginning of the season, hey, normally at this point, we're able to work on some more specific things. Whereas now I've put together a team in 30 days. I'm at a brand new school.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to put the broad range of my system and plans in place with maybe people that aren't kids that don't exactly fit all of the things I want to do. So I have to adapt some things. And there was a lot more like.
So here's what I can tell you. Going into last year, they were well aware we don't have enough offense. Like, it's just not there. Like, we don't have enough guys that can score. They did a really good job early in the season overcoming that with hustle and energy. And then the scouting report got out. If you match their
we talked about this last year. Yep.
Then they don't have a whole lot else to like bring back at you. It's funny because like we talked about this last year. If they don't beat Arkansas like they did, right? And then
wasn't it Illinois then Arkansas or
Illinois and then
they
Arkansas,
played Arkansas.
Right. That was it. If that doesn't happen the way that it played out, they probably buy a couple more weeks, right?
Yeah, of it being not the of the playbook not being as advertised.
But they beat the shit out of Illinois, which shocked everyone. And then they took Arkansas to the wire, but Arkansas was able to like match the intensity. And
what was that guy's name?
Everybody Muscle.
Which one? The guy from
Arkansas.
Or the guy from Illinois. Are you talking about Kofi Coburn from?
Kofi Coburn
from Illinois.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
No, there was a different guy.
He didn't play that game though.
Cockburn.
No, he played.
Cockburn.
Oh, that was the first game back.
Coburn.
That was his first game back.
Cockburn.
And he dominated the first like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And then wasn't a factor the rest of the game.
Right.
And they said his name was Coburn.
Yeah, Coburn. As if there was multiple things burning.
Miss Nick Castellanos.
So we'll see. Like the thing I think that you can feel good about with this team is that they're going to have more answers on offense. And let's be honest, last year's team was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
Because offensively, it wasn't there. It was Dave, and if Dave was cold, you hope Jay did.
And when they won, they were literally just willing themselves to victory with
Right.
like every little thing they could.
Right. This with Kalu, with Vic expanding his game, with Landers Nolly, with Jeremiah, with David DeJulius, there should be a lot more like firepower that they'll be able to solve if you go into a game where, you know, the defense takes this away. If the defense takes DeJulius away, like they did last year in the second half of the season, there should be guys that are able to make you pay for that.
Right.
So, you know.
So if you have to put an over under, because I have a number in my head of wins where I say that's a successful season here, I say 20. Say
I
if
think
they
this
can
is
get
a 20. I think say 22 win team.
22.
Yeah.
I said 20. I've talked to
Last year I said 19. They were 18. I think this is a 22 win team.
Aaron, do you have a number?
I think we said 25 was the ceiling. So
That's that. If everything goes great, it's a 25.
I think 20 to 25 was our range, and so 20,
I'm
20
settling at 22.
22 is kind of right in the median there. So
And that's when we did that, Aaron. I had seen, I think, one practice.
yeah,
I think I've seen 5 now.
You're more comfortable with that number.
I've seen 5 practices, including 2 like inter squad type scrimmage practices. I'm pretty comfortable at 22. Does Brian wants to know, does 22 get him in the dance? It depends on the 22. Right? Like,
yeah.
If your 22 includes 2 wins in Maui and a win over
Probably.
Xavier, then you're in.
But if every loss is to a ranked team, and
Right.
Big
If you
Xavier.
win the 22 games that you should win, and you don't win any of the games that maybe you're the underdog,
gotta have some upset wins for sure.
that's probably an
You gotta
NIT
ste-
team.
You got to steal somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's probably 22 wins with 1 win in Maui and not beating Xavier at Centos. You're probably an NIT team.
Maybe
22
on the bubble,
wins. Yeah.
and then you see how far you go in the AAC tournament to see if
Right.
that kind of pushes you over, and some other things have to fall your way.
I'm fairly confident with 22 as my number.
All right.
Aaron, I didn't mean to yell at you. I'm sorry.
Round. Pete Rose is going to be the first bet at the Hard Rock Casino when it opens on January 1.
Is there anybody else that you want to do that?
I think it's perfect.
Of course it's Pete Rose. Like,
I think he's a shitbag human,
he's a terrible human.
but I think it's perfect.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, it's me. Are we excited for the third coming of the XFL?
No. I
Teams
it's-
were announced
it-
this week.
It'd probably
We'll
be
see.
entertaining to watch.
We'll
but
see.
Probably super entertaining to watch.
I love The Rock. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give The Rock. Well,
I'm
I'm
gonna give it-
actually, I'm not. I'm not going to watch. I don't care.
I'm gonna watch a little bit because
I'll
there's
probably
probably,
watch
it's
a
probably
little
gonna
bit.
be on. It'll probably be on when there's nothing else to watch.
Correct.
Exactly.
Like
And,
Friday nights or some shit.
Yeah,
Like,
like some weird time slot.
It'll be right after the season, right? So, yeah. Jeff, how is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2? Is it as good as it looks?
It's a lot of fun.
I hear there's a lot of
Next.
kinks, like the game's broken.
So, Jeff, are you playing the
Campaign?
campaign, or are
The
you playing
campaign?
multiplayer?
So the campaign is fantastic.
I watched
Uh,
I watched a couple guys play the campaign. It looked pretty interesting.
The campaign is a lot of fun if you're into like
Yeah.
single player kind of stuff. It's a lot
That's
of fun.
kind of my jam.
It's a lot of fun. I don't know that it's necessarily worth $70 because you have to buy the whole game for that. But then the multiplayer, like I've been having fun with it, even as a 36-year-old guy who's lost a lot of like quick twitching abilities to, these little kids that are cracked out on Monster and like dry scooping energy drinks and stuff.
I do that.
Yeah.
No, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
Did you guys see Ellie De La Cruz scamper home on a triple?
I have a question. How is he not the number one prospect in baseball?
All of baseball? I don't
All of
know the
baseball.
answer to that.
I don't know, because
people are comparing him to Tatis at this point.
Like, everything I see of him,
He's insane, amazing.
and it's a
tells
lot of
me
it's
he's
a lot
the
of
most
things.
dynamic player in baseball.
Right. It's not just one highlight. It's
Right.
multiple
It's
highlights.
everything.
Every
Everything.
game there's a highlight. There's multiple highlights. Like
right.
the dude hits the shit out of the ball. He's fast. I don't understand how he's not the number one prospect, but even if not, like, who cares? I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And there's
Aaron,
how soon is he up? Is what I want to know.
Aaron, is it better that he's not the number one prospect in all of this?
Probably. I don't know that the Reds would mishandle it, and if he was, they're going to mishandle him anyway.
Does it feel like he's kind of our little secret at this point?
No, everyone knows about him. I don't think he's a secret.
I don't. Yeah,
He's a minor league baseball player, dude. I don't know everyone knows.
But I feel like he's posted so much on Twitter. Like his highlights are all over Twitter so much.
Right. If you're into baseball, you're into the minor
yeah, but
league
you
stuff.
guys follow Clay and like you guys follow that.
I know, but I see his
segment
highlights from just like everywhere.
Has John Boy talked about him yet?
No, ooh, I don't know.
I guess
as long as John Boy doesn't talk about him
right.
the normal.
Then maybe he's a secret.
Yeah,
I'm maybe secret is the wrong word, but I don't think he's like this guy that like
under the radar
everybody knows about. Like
okay.
I don't
I'll tell
think
you this:
flying under the radar. Then maybe
that will pop up.
Maybe he's flying
he's
on the radar, right? You know what I'm saying? He's
on
the radar,
right on the equator.
Know that he is way too like known when Yankees fans start saying that they're going to trade some garbage player and get him. That's when you know it's all over.
That's fair enough. I think that's fair.
Oh, someone needs to explain sports betting to me because I was in Indiana this weekend. I pulled up the FanDuel app and I went ahead and just went with some of the generic bets, like which one of these four guys will score a touchdown this weekend. I also bet that Tyler Boyd would score a touchdown this weekend. So I did win $26.20 this weekend. But I don't
on top of the money that you put in.
No, I put $10 in, so I made $16.20 this weekend. But I still don't understand overs and unders, so we need to have a show on that one week.
We're going to have a show.
Good.
Oh, by the way, Brian, yes, X is at UC. Ed.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to bet Fred is where we're going. Don't shake your head.
We're going to have a sponsor.
Ed, bet Fred is where we're going.
Okay. I'll download the app. Wrong button.
A member of the Migos died yesterday.
Overnight,
yeah.
Reports are that it was over $7,000 in a dice game. Other reports are that it had nothing to do with that. I don't know what to believe anymore. All I know is Takeoff from Migos is dead. R.I.P. Takeoff.
What is me? I'll do more research.
What do you mean? What is Migos?
I don't know what Migos is. I'm sorry. I'm assuming it's a rapper.
Drift from your country channels. You'll be okay.
Some hard hitting country out there right now. I don't know if I can do that.
It all sounds the same.
Did you guys listen to? Yeah.
Have you seen the guy on TikTok that has the white thing on his beard?
That's Ed. That's actually Ed on TikTok.
You
that has the white thing on his beard.
No.
That guy's name is
I follow him.
No,
Cody,
his name
Cody
is
Marr,
Cody.
Marr, right?
Yeah.
Marr, yeah.
You are the generic version of him.
Oh, because of the
Walmart
all right.
version.
Yeah, you're the Walmart version of that guy.
All right, understand. Who next? Me. New Heights podcast. Did you guys listen to this week's episode?
Last week's episode.
Last
The new
week's episode
comes out tomorrow. Yes.
Comes out in the morning.
Are we going
I
to start
did
doing this
listen,
segment? Are you?
I listened to it twice because I thought I was going to start doing a segment on it.
Well,
My favorite.
You could have put it in the notes.
Sorry, but my favorite thing that came out of this week was Travis Kelce afraid to autograph a baby because he thought that the toxins from a marker would make the baby sick. He said if a baby ended up in a hospital because he was autographing it,
I think that's fair.
I would also not autograph a baby with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
And then Jason saying that by the time you have your third and fourth kid, you're taking that pacifier out from underneath the couch that hasn't been vacuumed for months.
Jason
maybe
is
years,
also dead on.
and
That's very
sticking
true.
it right back in that kid's face.
I'm there.
I thought it was funny that Jason Kelce doesn't wear underwear.
I thought that was hilarious.
Travis was like,
They're so
"You are
good."
you are a 290-pound man. There's
How-
no way you are
How is-
successfully wiping all of
How
that."
is Jason the best podcast host in the country in like 2 months? He's
It's a-
the best. There's
it's
no
insane.
better podcast host in the country than Jason Kelce, and he's only been doing it for 8 weeks.
Shoot or shoot.
Him and
It's
Travis
incredible.
on the Manning cast last night was kind of funny as
I
well.
didn't get to see it. How was it?
Started off a little slow, but then it got pretty funny.
I love that
I mean-
they wore quarter zips specifically for that.
Yeah,
Those are potentially the first two sets of Hall of Fame brothers in the history of the NFL.
that's a fair point.
And the Kelce brothers are such good free advertisement for the University of Cincinnati.
Such
amazing.
good free advertisement.
Travis
and
is still wearing
Travis
UC almost
always
every-
has some fresh.
I was going to say, out of
Like
all the
you see
episodes, like
here.
at least 3/4 of them, he has had. If it's not a foundation shirt of
The
so-
last
like
one
his
was
or
a
hers,
a Nike baseball jersey.
Yeah.
That people were like, "Where can I buy that?"
You
And it was
can't.
like, "Well, that's from 1997."
Good luck.
Go
Yeah.
hit the vintage
He's
stores.
been
in NTR.
playing the eBay game for a long time, and he's better at it than you.
I was
and
good at the
maybe-
eBay game before pandemic.
Maybe in 2024 you can buy one.
Big 12 struck a new TV deal this week that is going to make teams, whatever the reporting is right now, it's supposed to be, once tier 3 and everything hits, over $50 million per school.
Before the new college football playoff hits.
Before expansion as well, because pro rata was put in there as well.
Prorata.
Or at it.
whatever. We all understand. Continue, Aaron.
I think I said it right.
Pro rata. You did say it right.
Yeah, it's Latin, Ed.
Thank you.
Don't expect
I'm
you
working
to
on.
understand.
I'm working on a comp.
I feel like you're working on English, but that's fine. How do you guys feel though about this deal being locked in before the Pac-12, and we're to the point where the Johns are now dropping big news, and it's Bill,
The Fox guy. Yeah.
the tall goofy center from UCLA,
Oh,
being
Bill
up-
Walton.
Bill Walton, being upset about UCLA leaving the Pac-12. That was their big news of the day today.
Yeah. Of course he is.
Well, if anybody watches the brunch, this dropped during the brunch,
I
and
know.
Dave and I were scrambling.
I landed and I'm getting like Twitter notifications about this, and I'm like, the best thing to land to ever.
You
So
and
Dave
Justin
I were
Williams.
Dave and I were scrambling to try to like break
Justin
it
was
down
like
and
2
figure it
hours
out
late. Justin landed 2 hours later in there. Apparently.
while it was going on. I mean, I think it really comes down to the fact that 50 or 47 or 32 is far more than 7. So for the Bearcats,
Look, man,
incredible.
38 is phenomenal.
Right. And then the other thing that you've got that we looked at is it actually runs its course, and they will be back up for another
Before everybody else,
renegotiation
basically,
before
yeah.
everyone else. And Dave and I were like talking about, as long as the product stays relevant, which I don't have any reason to believe the Big 12's product won't be relevant. They should be ready to cash in on possibly an even bigger deal when that rolls around. And it also forces the Pac-12 potentially out of Fox as a partner. They're probably done.
Fox is not. Fox is out on the Pac-12. They're done.
Okay.
They're out.
And then so like I know that I caught a little bit of I don't know if it was
ESPN and Amazon seems to be the avenue Fox or the Pac-12 is going to take.
I don't know if it was a nightcap or if it was the BBP or if it whatever where you guys were.
We do a lot of
discussing,
content here.
Where streaming is not. It's not there yet for live sports. The money's not there. Dave brought up the numbers for Thursday Night Football have been just along with the product being awful.
Yeah, so the product.
The numbers aren't there, and I don't see. I mean, Amazon has deep pockets, but they're not going to overpay for something just to have.
Why would they?
I
Like
do.
you don't have to.
They also just took a Q3 hit for whatever that's worth.
I like the way they have that stats channel, but not on a Thursday night football game. If you had that on a Sunday night football game, Monday night football game.
Well, I think here's the question, Ed. Like those games kick off at 10 o'clock at night. Are you really like at 10 o'clock at night? So it's 7 o'clock in the West Coast.
Pacific time zone.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. So 10 o'clock Eastern. At 10 o'clock at night, are you really like, oh yeah, man, I need to check Amazon?
Nah, he's already watching. He's already watching
football game.
cruise ship ETV shows.
Right.
It's
Right.
Bravo.
Right.
Don't disrespect. It's Bravo.
But the point being, at that point in the like the football calendar,
Yeah, I see.
are you like, you know what I need to do? I really need to find Cal and Oregon State.
No, because I can watch MAC football on a Tuesday night.
On a Tuesday.
Right. Like
So.
it's just not real. It's
There's a
not.
shooting in my neighborhood.
So
Ed, where were you at? Why were you late for the show? We need some answers.
What? There it is.
Smith League winter tournament. I think it's Aaron.
That was me. I just saw on Twitter, or actually Instagram, before we went live, I was putting the kids to bed, that Smith League is doing a $10,000 tournament December 30th through the 31st. Some of the teams that look like that have been announced already. Friend of the show, Cincinnati Warriors, Nasty Natty, about Billions. Should be entertaining.
Okay.
I'm sure you guys probably touched on this in just a different way earlier. With the trade deadline coming up here and passing in the NFL, and the Bengals standing pat with how they are and not seemingly making any moves, did the Bengals Phil Castellini us?
I actually compared the Reds to the Packers.
Okay.
That was I don't think they only had three. I think they only had 3.3 in cap space this season left for this season, so they couldn't make a huge splash play without finagling some shit. And they weren't going to do that.
And like I said, their desperate need right now is defensive back, and that happened like 12 minutes.
12 hours ago.
Right.
So I initially
they're also budgeting for Joe and Chase and T.
So some of my thought process on it earlier today, because like I said, I do still have the tendency occasionally to become an irrational fan. And you look at it and you maybe think to yourself, this is kind of a little like the Reds, but then it's not, because I think they are going to be putting a lot of money into those guys. And if it's not those guys, Burrow certainly, Chase.
Burrow,
certainly.
Chase, T.
They also
Higgins
put money
next.
they also put money in the offseason into the biggest need, which was the offensive line.
Right. So you've got that. Today felt like one of those things. It's also fresh in our minds. They get blown
Jeff,
out by they get killed by the Browns.
Here's my question.
And they lose a Woozier. Yep, good.
what would the conversation have been had the Bengals traded for William Jackson?
No.
Right.
I wanted
Brandon
Cooks. I wanted Brandon Cooks.
But I'm saying,
give me a fourth receiver.
Right. But your
That's not Michael Thomas.
Now, your desperate need right now is defensive back.
You're right. And had they gone that route,
could you imagine?
I blame the offense.
Aaron.
I think Pac-Man. I saw somebody say that Pac-Man wanted the Bengals to trade for and or pick him up off a waiver wire just so that they could cut him again. Because him and Pac-Man don't have a. But I've settled down off of my initial firing hot take of Phil Castellini need us, because I did think the same thing. Like the DB issue is number one, and it just happened. There are a lot of things that have to fall into place for a trade. It's hard to make one happen that quickly.
Jeff's hard.
Chad.
Imagine. What is your faith in this team if Eli Apple is the boundary corner and William Jackson III is the field? That's a Super Bowl winning team with Eli Apple at the boundary and William Jackson III at the field.
Woof. Last one of the lightning round. Chad's wrong. It was the offense's fault.
And like a damn bum, you know that? Bum. A bum. You are a bum. You're a bum. And that's all you'll ever be. A bum.
Well, that hurts, man.
Bum of the week. Bum of the week is Kenny Pickett again. He's really bad. 25 of 38, 191 yards, an interception, 6 sacks for 40 yards, a 32.6 QBR. But we were comparing him, Ryan Clark in particular was comparing him to Joe Burrow. That's the guy.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
And they just took away one of his few weapons.
Yeah.
Just Freiermuth all day. It's just Freiermuth all day.
Good thing he's on my bench. All right.
Kenny A6, Malik Willis did make his debut as well, and he was.
We talked about it. He threw like five. He threw like 5 or 10 passes, I think.
Right.
I got the stats here. It was 6 of 10 for 55 yards, a pick, 3 sacks for 15.
So yeah,
He did manage to scramble 5 times for 12 yards.
Give Des Ridder a shot.
Yeah.
Man, Marcus Mariota ain't it.
All right. We've
That's
gone
it.
well over our new limit.
That's well over a half hour.
I'll take credit for some of that with being late. So
That's another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. We will see you next Tuesday night at 9:15. For Ed, for Jeff, for Chad, I'm Aaron Smith, and we're out.
Bye.
See ya!